The Moonlit River Cruise, a podcast filled with relaxing bedtime stories.
Welcome aboard the Moonlit River Cruise, where the water whispers stories old and new. Sit back, relax, let the evening breeze carry you along with memories. Welcome aboard the Moonlit River Cruise, where the water whispers stories old and new. Sit back, relax, let the evening breeze carry you along with memories. We'll meet the people, we'll see the places. Time has left its gentle traces down the river, around each bend. A tale begins where the waters wind. Welcome aboard the Moonlit River Cruise, where the water whispers stories old and new. Sit back, relax, let the evening breeze, and enjoy the ride on the Moonlit River Cruise.
Good evening. Welcome to the Moonlit River Cruise. Please pick up a life preserver and then get comfy in the chair of your choice. Our crusty old skipper will then give you further directions. I am warning you to follow them closely, or he just might throw you overboard. Yup, he just might.
Ahoy, mateys, and welcome aboard. I am your skipper for this evening's voyage. Tonight, you will be cruising in comfort aboard one of the finest pontoon boats on the river. It offers a smooth ride, excellent performance, and dependable safety. Our journey takes us along the river. The Potawatomi people once called the Kijipsibi, the Big River. In a moment, we will cast off from shore. I will ease back on the throttle, start some gentle music, and let the river set the pace. Then you will hear from our resident storyteller, Dr. Waters. The good doctor holds an earned doctorate in history and an honorary doctorate in gossip. He will share stories of the people, places, and events that have shaped this river through the years. Some stories are old, some are recent. All are part of the river's rich history. As we travel through the evening, we ask that you help us be considerate of our neighbors along the shoreline. Please keep your voices low and enjoy the quiet beauty of the night. Now sit back, relax, feel the gentle breeze. Let the river carry your cares downstream. And if you happen to drift off to sleep, well, that just means the cruise is doing its job. All right, crew, away we go.
Good evening, folks. Lean back and listen to a story from the river. The river becomes a different place at night. During the day, it's busy. Motorboats and water skiers whiz by. Fishermen work the shallows. Kids splash along the banks. But once the sun slips below the trees and darkness settles over the water, the river seems to slow down. It becomes quieter, gentler, almost thoughtful. Look out there for a moment. See that silver path the moon has painted across the water? River people have been watching moonlight dance like that for generations. Long before highways crossed these valleys, long before electric lights glittered from the hillsides, people sat beside this same river and watched that same moon. Tonight I want to tell you a story about a house that once stood along a bend, much like the one we're passing now. The old-timers called it the Lantern House. You won't find it on any map. Most of the people who remember it are gone now. But stories have a way of lingering along rivers. The water carries them from one generation to another. The Lantern House stood on a broad curve where the current slowed and deepened. Boats naturally drifted toward that side of the channel. The house sat on a gentle rise above the bank, painted white with dark green shutters. A wraparound porch faced the river. And every evening, without fail, a lantern burned in the front window. Not an electric lamp, a real lantern. The kind with polished brass, a glass globe, and a living flame that flickered softly through the night. For boatmen traveling after dark, that lantern became a familiar sight. Some said they could spot its glow through fog long before they could see the shoreline. Others claimed it helped them keep their bearings during storms. But the lantern meant something more than navigation. It meant somebody was awake. It meant somebody cared. It meant that if trouble found you on the river, there was a place where a warm cup of coffee, a dry blanket, and a friendly face might still be waiting. The house belonged to John and May Anderson. John had spent nearly his entire life on the river. He had worked towboats, ferries, fishing skiffs, just about anything that floated. His face was weathered by sun and wind, and his hands looked as though they had been carved from driftwood. May was different. She had the gift of making people feel welcome before they even stepped through the door. Folks said her pies could cure a bad mood, and her smile could calm an argument. Together, they crafted something special beside that bend in the river. A home that became a refuge. And over the years, people began to rely on that little lantern more than they realized. The years passed, as rivers always do, quietly and without asking permission. Spring floods came and went. Summers filled the shoreline with fishing poles and laughter. Autumn painted the hillsides in gold and crimson. Winter laid sheets of ice along the edges and turned every breath into a cloud. Through it all, the lantern continued to burn. Some nights, its light welcomed fishermen returning late from the backwaters. Other nights, it guided towboat crews through fog so thick they could barely see the bow of their own vessels. But what made the lantern house special wasn't really the lantern. It was the people. If you spent enough time on the river, you'd eventually find yourself at the Andersons' front porch. Maybe your engine had quit. Maybe your boat rope snapped. Maybe, just maybe, you had nowhere else to go. It didn't matter. The porch was always open. May would set another place at the table without making a fuss about it. John would listen more than he talked. Somehow, people always left feeling lighter than when they arrived. You know, every river has places like that. Not necessarily houses. Sometimes it's a bait shop. Sometimes it's a marina. Sometimes it's just an old bench where people gather in the evenings. Places where kindness seems to settle naturally. The Lantern House was one of those places. And perhaps that's why people still talk about it. You see, history books remember generals and politicians. Rivers remember different people. They remember those who showed up, those who helped, those who kept the light on. One evening after May had gone to bed, John stood alone on the porch. He had been drawn outside by a peculiar sound. A storm was building, and the winds were complaining loudly as they wrestled their way through the trees and bushes. So the noise could have been anything. But John's ears, as bad as they had become, detected it was something else. Maybe even someone else. But he stood under the glow of the lantern when he heard a muffled cry for help. Emergencies can transform old men with fortitude into their former selves. He grabbed the rope and life preserver that was always on the deck, scrambled down the hill, spotted a thrashing body in the water, and plunged into the waves. Folks, the local mayor wouldn't be here today if John hadn't rescued his paw that night. Years later, the people along the river still told their children about that evening. And their children told their own children. Because kindness travels farther than we imagine. Further than boats. Further than rivers. Sometimes farther than entire lifetimes. Now, if you look over there, just beyond that stand of oaks, you'll see a single light shining from a house near the shoreline. That's not the Lantern House. The original house is long gone, as is its occupants. But every time I see a porch light glowing beside the river, I think about John and May Anderson. And I remember that somebody somewhere is still keeping watch. Somebody is still welcoming strangers. Somebody is still leaving the light on. The river needs people like that. Truth be told, so does the world. So if you happen to notice a warm light in the darkness tonight, let it remind you of the Lantern House. And let it remind you that even the smallest kindness can become a landmark in someone's life, just as that lantern became a landmark on the river. Now let's follow the moonlight a little farther downstream. The river has another story waiting just around the next bend.